What are the finest minds supposed to do in this world? And by finest, I don't mean the most connected. I don't mean those that are the most hooked up or technologically relevant or even financially relevant. I mean the finest minds in terms of that which can be communicated, that which can be um, backed or understood and or not backed and not understood. What is supposed to come of the finest minds in in the world? Um, how are we to even find and evaluate an idea such as the finest minds? What does that mean? What does it mean to have a fine mind? And does it always find its way? Do these minds always find their way throughout corridors? And do they always, based on their bodily apparatus, do the finest minds mean the finest beings? And by finest beings, I mean the beings that can express themselves in a manner throughout a particular culture via a particular medium in order to elaborate and accentuate and fulfill and dream and become something that is above and beyond the human creation that came before them. Something that looks like a surface animal, something that rises above the surface of a surface animal. I mean, what does that mean? What does this mean? And I guess I'm just throwing this out there because, I don't know. I try to do a lot of parodies, but I also try to eke out the nooks and crannies of things that I think are particularly politically relevant and yet overlooked by so many individuals and by so many people. And yet, my articulation about these ideas becomes a little bit hidden from myself, even. And so I look like I'm part in party with the ideas that I think that need to be played. But I'm also saying this in the face of Steve Jobs' death, in terms of a radical innovator, somebody that's affected the world, that did eke it out and did put it forward and put it forward in terms of machines and commerce. And to what extent do people not read so many other minds' books and expressions, no matter whether or not they're fiction or non-fictional, no matter what it is that they are? To what extent can one human lifetime be used to absorb other people's minds and not find themselves in a glazed loss in the face of all other human expression? To what extent do we have to ignore other human expression in order to take from a launching pad a general sense of education and evaluate it relative to what we would call adult time, or what I might think is adult time? And then what does it mean to be in different stages of adult time relative to one's expression, relative to one's desire to influence and know how and make do with regards to that influence? those are just some thoughts. Anyway, anybody's feedback on this video would be just fine. Closing notes, closing things to say. Who should function as a leader, or are leaders just those who express themselves, manifest themselves as such? Or is there a way in which to gauge a leader and put them into position, not different from an election, but not coerced down the rules of that uh, school or grouping, or whoever initially defines what a primary is supposed to look like? I don't know. Anyway, feedback on this would be great. Thanks.